Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today we are running some errands. Yes, I do live a normal life. I do things that normal people do. I get that question all the time. Pace, when do you live a normal life? Right now, I'm running an errand. We're gonna go pick up a mattress. One of my mastermind students is staying at our house for the next couple of days, and we wanna make sure they have the best of the best mattress. Uncle Lonza staying at the house. And while I'm running an errand, we are going to call one of my other students, Ryan Peterson, who lives in Lake Tahoe, is having a problem on one of his houses, wanted me to call him and give him some advice. And one thing I've learned is record every phone call, not to prove what you said or anything like that, but you always want to make sure that maybe some gold nuggets drop, maybe some magnificent paradigm shift happens on a phone call, and you never want to leave that phone call saying, man, I wish I recorded that. So let's call Ryan and see what he needs. It might be something silly. He might need like a coupon to Walmart or something. I don't know.
Hey, brother.
What up, dude? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thank you so much for taking time to call me, dude. I appreciate it.
Of course. What do you got going on?
About a month ago or so, we had that Tahoe Keys property that not the one we're moving into, but another one we were going to do flip on.
Okay.
But just for shits and giggles, just to see about some transactional capital, it's like, hey, let's wholesale this thing. Especially with Chuck Billy. He's our project manager. He's on tour, so he can't really help facilitate flips. So long story short, we were going to sign it. So this is a realtor that brought us the deal. We put a $10,000 non-refundable down on our end.
Okay.
And then we assigned our interest to another end buyer. That end buyer put 3% down a purchase price, which was like close to 19 grand. Let's just call it 19 grand. Everything was smooth. They walked the property. They signed everything, signed all the documents. And then on the day of close of escrow, and even a couple of days before that, bro, I had talked to him about another property. I said, hey man, I got a property. Interested? He said no. I said, all right, cool. Are you still, we still good? Green light for Tahoe Keys? He said, absolutely. So then day of close of escrow, which was Monday on the 9th, it's like freaking Patrick Swayze, bro. Ghost, gone. Like nobody can get a hold of him.
Let me catch this up real quick. You guys look at a deal in Tahoe Keys and you decide, because Chuck Billy, who's your partner, is away on tour, it's probably not a good opportunity for you guys to fix and flip, so you decide to assign it. You bring it to somebody, that somebody puts $19,000 into title. Then you, funny enough, I always tell people, if you have a deal with one of your buyers, don't send them another deal, because then what happens is they get like FOMO and they start acting weird, and they'll sometimes jump on the better deal and then find a way to like wiggle out of the other one or something.
Right.
You send him another deal, sounded excited about that, whatever. Then the close of escrow comes for the first deal he put 19 grand on, and you can't get a hold of him or anybody else associated with him.
Absolutely correct. And but he passed on the other deal as well. His numbers were a little less than what we have. We already have that assigned for a far more than like he wanted to pay for. So
Okay.
That's all good. So he passed on that one. He was still a green light for Tahoe Keys. All the way up until the close of escrow, he was a green light.
All I'm hearing is that this is a great problem, because you have 19 grand of his, and then you have $10,000 at stake. So essentially you guys could make $9,000 regardless and walk away.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
Here's the thing. 2 days later, this morning, out of freaking nowhere, he's like, hey man, sorry for the delay. My funding partner went missing. He was traveling in Idaho, and now we can't get a hold of him.
Okay.
So I don't want to hold you back if you have another buyer, but I will want my $19,000 back. I will not sign a release. So it's like, I said, with all due respect, we're not going to be releasing the money. You failed to honor your commitments, this, that, and the other. Never went terse on him, never went hardcore on him, never cussed him out, never did any of that shit. I just said, sorry, dude, sorry about your luck. Look at the agreement that you signed. It's not refundable. The assignment contract that you provided to us in the mentorship.
Okay.
I used that one. And nothing. He never got anything. I emailed Lila. I said, hey, check this out. We gave the buyer this amount of time to perform on their duties. We gave them until 12 o'clock today to perform, or per contractual agreement signed by end buyer. E&B is now ours because he failed to perform. She said, okay, thank you for that. And then he, out of nowhere, replies and says, I do not consent to release E&B to coast-to-coast home offers.
He doesn't have the ability to consent. He breached contract. He's foregone all his rights.
100%. I'm right there with you. Now he is just up in arms. You know, he's like trying to get his money back. And so I'm just trying to see.
What I would do normally is I would go to the title company. It sounds like you haven't done this, but the legal action you need to take first and foremost is you need to send him a cure notice from title. Have you done that yet?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you need to send a cure notice. It's critical that you send a cure notice, because if you go in front of a judge, the judge is going to say, well, did you give him a grace period? Because by state law, typically you have to give them a cure, which means there's a problem with our transaction and I'm asking you to cure that problem. That ailment needs a cure, and the cure is your action. So in Arizona, the standard cure period is 3 days. So even if the buyer fails to perform, you still have to give him a 3-day grace period, and that grace period is called a cure notice. I'm noticing you that if you do not cure, you are in breach of contract and you fail our contract and you release all your rights of anything you signed. You lose everything, and I'm giving you 3 days to do so. So that's what you need to do. And because what's going to happen is he's going to hire an attorney, or he's going to hire whoever, and that attorney is going to challenge you and go, you never gave my client a cure notice. And you'll go, well, yeah, but he breached contract. And they'll go, yeah, but you still didn't give him a cure notice.
That is badass. And that is so good. I can't wait to share that with the group on Facebook.
Here's what I'll have you do, okay? I will give you my wife's phone number, and she'll prepare a cure notice for you, and you can send it to title and say, this is our official cure notice. We're giving the buyer 3 days to cure. Although the buyer has already breached, we, out of our good graces, will give this buyer an additional 3 days, and we are calling this our cure notice. You are hereby noticed by all parties that you have 3 days to close this. And by the way, your seller, if you guys breach with your seller, the seller has to give you guys a cure notice legally as well. Everybody has to receive a cure notice, even if you are technically in breach of the contract.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
My mind is blown. That was the most valuable thing I've learned today.
There's something that we call surfing the cure. It's something I created like years ago. So if I'm buying a deal and my funding partner, which does happen, sometimes our funding partners are late for whatever reason, and our funding partner is a day or two late, and I'll have a seller that says, you're late and I'm canceling the contract. Guess what? They are incorrect. The title company is required, this is nationwide by the way, the title company is required to keep that transaction going until somebody has been issued a cure notice and a breach. You have 3 days to cure your breach. We would surf that extra 3 days and like kind of ride on that and just cross our fingers and be like, I hope our funding partners fund in the next 3 days so we can finalize this transaction. So technically, yes, you're in breach according to the paperwork, but unless you've been noticed and you've been given a grace period, you are technically, the contract cannot be canceled.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. That is so good. Laura, obviously, she's badass. She's going to be able to script that right up exactly.
Yeah, it's like a paragraph. She's done it 100 times.
Amazing.
And normally a title company is the one that will do it for you, but lately I've been, with how overwhelmed title companies are, they'll come back to you and go, sorry, we don't do that. But technically it's their job because they're the custodian of the transaction. It's their job to notice all parties that you have provided a cure notice. So my wife can write it up. It's like a paragraph. It's really simple. And you send it to title and say, hey, title, we are hereby issuing a cure notice and letting the buyer know they have 3 days to cure their breach, or else they forego their rights to their earnest money. Either A, walk away from the transaction, or B, finalize the transaction as you promised. Otherwise, you are officially breached and you have no rights to any part of the contract.
And they don't have to have any kind of written consent to release the...
No.
Okay.
The only person that has to have consent is the seller has to give consent to give you your $10,000 back, which of course that seller's not going to.
No, not at all. And I already called and negotiated a 2-week extension from today.
Yeah, there you go. That's amazing.
Right on, man.
There's a couple of things you could do here, by the way. You could call the guy and say, hey man, as per my attorney, I'm going to issue you a cure notice and give you 3 extra days. Or if you want to pay an extra $10,000 on the purchase price, I can go and get you an extra 7-day extension so you can bring your funding partner to the table.
Should I do that like via text or email?
Oh, always via email, yeah. And always copy title. You always want to copy title on everything at this point.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the title company is holding your 10K and they're also holding the 19K. So when there's a dispute at the end of the transaction of who did this and who did that, who's the person that actually has to make the decision of where the earnest money goes back to is always the title company.
Right.
So the more or you copy them, not blind copy them, but copy them, like blatantly copy them and say, hey, just copying everybody party to the transaction. I'm going to give you two options. Option A, you have 3 days to cure your breach, or option B, pay us an extra $10,000 and I will extend the close of escrow 7 days if you pay us an extra 10 grand.
Right, that's phenomenal. No lawyer could be like, oh, you're trying to extort my client for another 10 grand, you know, by doing this extension or anything like that.
No, you're not extorting them. You're giving them an additional option as a professional courtesy.
Badass.
The reality is you could argue that they've cost you time, energy, agony, anxiety, and you could have already been paid on the deal and rolled your money into another deal. Therefore, you have opportunity costs that have been lost because their client has essentially stolen a portion of your life away from you.
Dude, holy shit. The guy just literally, while we're on the phone call, just reached out and said, hey, Ryan, looks like I have the green light now. We should just need until Friday. So look, he probably is already up on game with a cure notice. Look, until Friday. That's 3 days, right?
There you go.
We'll work with escrow on finalizing. Sorry
okay, here's
for the delay.
Here's what I would do. I would issue him a cure notice regardless, because by the time Friday rolls around and he doesn't perform on Friday, which there's a 70-30 chance he doesn't, you want to make sure that that day is the final day and you no longer have to have any issues. Because when does the cure notice actually kick in? Does it kick in when they breach contract, or does it kick in once you actually issue a cure notice?
When you issue it. So should I wait until Laura gives me that notice?
Yeah.
And then I'll email that with the two options and include title and all the whole email and everything. So it's all right there. Here's the cure notice. Here's the options.
Yep.
Title's included. Buyer's included.
Yep. And then what I would do is I would text or reply back to him right now and say, hey man, I'm in the middle of something. I'll reply later. And then just give him like a smiley face, not a thumbs up. Don't give him a confirmation. Don't say this sounds good. Literally say, hey, I'm tied up for the next couple of hours. I'll reply back in a little bit.
Okay, absolutely killer, man. Thank you so much. You've helped me out so much. I love you, dude. You're badass. Like, you're on set, you're busy, you freaking come and you spend this time with me to help me out, and that's so good, dude.
Problem, you know what your job is. Your job is to take it and feed it right back into the Subto group and let people know what the answer is.
You 100%. Yeah, I'm on it, dude. I'm on it. And then one last thing, that Tahoe house that I'm buying, my family, we opened up a family trust, and then I opened up an LLC, like an S Corp. So my question is, one last question. If I have a trust and then an LLC with me and my girlfriend that are going to be owners, can I rent, like do a rental to Michelle and I, and we're paying rent to the LLC?
Of course.
And then, like, obviously, then we can get write-offs for, like, roofs and repairs.
Oh, everything. Yeah, 100%.
So damn good. I love this business. Okay, cool. That is all I have, man. And sorry that freaking townhouse shit didn't work in Atlanta.
You know the drill. You got to look at 50 deals before you get one. So it's just one drop in the bucket towards the next deal. That's it.
1000%, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you have yourself a great day. And then I will wait
I'm wrapping up an errand right now that I'm running. When I'm done with this errand, I'll call Laura and I'll get Laura working on that, and I'll put you and her in touch with each other.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate you.
No problem, bro. Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
Okay, see ya. So here's the great thing about the real estate world, right? So Ryan is one of my students. He is a leader in my community. So what happens is I'll give him that value, and then what Ryan will do is go back into other students of ours and actually have these conversations and touch points, because it's one thing to watch it on YouTube. It's another thing to actually run into these situations and have somebody that actually has the answer right there, immediate to exactly what you're going through. And so that's the great part about this community, is that Ryan asked the question in our Subto Facebook group. Then there's a whole bunch of people that are like, oh my gosh, I've dealt with this exact situation multiple times. So I give Ryan the answer, and then Ryan's job, as you heard on the phone call, is to now go back and tell everybody else what we talked about and spread that knowledge throughout our community. So anyway, really cool thing. So essentially, just to sum this up, a cure notice is what I told them to utilize, and hopefully people actually picked up on this. It's a very high level thing. It's not something that as a newbie you're typically learning what a cure notice is and how to manage these two things. But Ryan has a contract with the seller, and Ryan is wholesaling it to somebody else, and that somebody else is failing to perform and is saying, well, I know I put $19,000 down, but I want my $19,000 back even though I failed to perform. My suggestion to him was that buyer technically has not breached contract until you have put in writing that they have 3 days to cure that breach. So that 3-day cure notice gives your buyer, it's a very professional way of handling that as well, is that you don't want to go to your buyer and say, F you, right? You want to tell your buyer, hey, no problem, I understand, like these types of things happen. I want to do a lot more deals with you in the future. That's why I'm going to extend an extra 3 days to you to finalize this transaction. Or if you even need more time than that, what Ryan had done is he's smart. Ryan went to his seller and extended 2 weeks, but he's not going to tell his buyer that that because he's smart. You don't want to show all your cards, right? Even though Ryan has an extra 2 weeks, he's not going to give his buyer that leeway because his buyer will full on take advantage of that situation and take up those full 2 weeks. So issue the cure notice and then take the buyer's money because the buyer put you in a bad situation. So there you go, guys. If you guys have a question, please make a comment down below. We'll do a video about it. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have a situation just like this, is how do I get my buyer to perform and how do I get my buyer's earnest money in my pocket? See you on the next one.